Well, welcome everyone to our weekly Soul Changes Lives webinar. My name is Debbie Perez Cockburn. I love being with you every week. This is a webinar that's open to the public. You're welcome to share. You're welcome to invite anyone who is interested in natural health and healing. We are not doctors here. I don't bash doctors, but I don't treat diseases. I don't treat any kind of, I actually don't even like to talk about diseases by name. I do know as a health enthusiast that there are certain things that keep our bodies sick or unwell, and our bodies were created so that they could fight things off naturally. And so when they do, they are doing the job that they were created to do. And we love to talk about herbs on this program, and our special favorite brand of herbs is Solle Naturals, and because it's an adaptogen fueled product, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But our testimony this week comes from our sweet friend who is actually traveling. She's in Georgia, she's on vacation, and has so graciously agreed to share her testimony with us today. My friend Jeleva Carr, who is coming to us, as I said, from Georgia today. And Jeleva is going to be sharing a little bit about her health and wellness journey. Jeleva, mic is yours.
Okay, so I'm so happy. Hi, everyone. I'm excited for this opportunity to share how partnering with Solle has been a total game changer to my existing wellness program. So my name is Jeleva Carr again, and I've been in the beauty industry for over 3 decades, working 12 to 16-hour days for most of my career. And wanting a better quality of life has always been a top goal for me. So at the age of 30, I thought we were having our 3rd and final child, but soon after a year, I got pregnant again with our 4th and last child. And this threw my whole body completely out of balance, not to mention running my own business, being supportive to my single mom and my grandma at the time, and so many other stresses and allergies, sleep problems, focusing issues with, children, and all of the things that goes on in a family. So after many trial and errors, this led me down the path of my own self-discovery to figure out what was really happening, what I needed to do. So I came up with this program that was dedicated to serving preteens, teens, adults, and mature adults 55 and over. And, and so this is what I needed for each changing season to support my own family's wellness. And I know that there's no one size fits all when it comes to addressing whole body wellness. Like, for instance, like connecting and cultivating and compassionately caring for myself and other friends and loved ones too, because that was really, really important to me. So it takes certain skill sets and mindsets, not to mention having a quality, top-notch products that performs as promised and, every time, no matter if I'm dealing with hair, color, texture, style, or ethnicity, or if I'm dealing with body and age as it pertains to lifestyle, with the desire to elevate your wellness for lasting transformation. And with mental illness and emotional stress increasing, Solle's unique supporting blends synergistically help to raise the bar to what I've been doing for the last 2 decades, specifically focusing on core health, cleansing and nourishing. Involves getting the good stuff in, which is nutrition, and the bad stuff out, which is detoxing and cleansing, while fortifying and protecting our brain, our mind, to help my family not just look good, but feel good in body, mind, with a quality of life that's regenerating and not degenerating. So in a nutshell, using Solle's products really, really enhanced my program to a much higher standard that I now feel so complete and secure in helping anyone reach their goals and their family goals as well. So thank you so much, Solle, and thank you for having me today.
Thanks, Jeleva. I love that story. I love that you said regenerating and not degenerating. I love that. I love that line because that totally fits Solle so very well. And regardless of where you are in your stage in life, you know, maybe you've been using some other quality products and maybe you haven't, but you decided to trust Solle and add it to the program that you already had, and how you gained even greater results from what you were doing in the past. I think that speaks volumes for you as well as Solle's products, because we know, I know personally, that when the mind and the body connection is strengthened, everything else works the way it should. And for you to be able to see that with your family, with yourself, in your business, just everything, I think Solle is so amazing. And I love that. So thank you for sharing that, Jeleva. And you're brand new to Solle, and just to trust it, it takes for, you know, when you've been using another product from another company for years and you say, okay, well, what's this? I'll try it. And then for it to make that much of a difference in your life, in your body, in your mind, and everything that you do, that's just fabulous. I don't have another word for it except for what Medea would say: fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And hallelujah. I love that.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So thanks again for sharing that testimonial. Well, like always, we have our friend, and he is my personal mentor. We've known each other for years. He is the president of Solle Naturals. He is one of the original founders of the company. He is my dearest friend and brother, Mr. Greg Halliday. And I've asked Greg to talk to us about a probiotic that I absolutely love called ProbIo. And there, now you can see it. Sorry, I apologize. I'm in a hotel. The lighting is kind of crazy, but ProbIo IQ. And ProbIo IQ is an amazing product, as you can probably tell from the name. It's a probiotic product, right? And a lot of people think, oh, well, why do I need a probiotic? I could get one at Walmart. Well, you know what? This is so much more. When you look at the name IQ, I've asked Greg to divide this product into two discussions because there are a lot of ingredients, much like Avant Greens. It's very complete and very complex formula with 6 types of probiotic in there. One, which is very fabulous. Greg has his favorite probiotic. I have my favorite probiotic in this formula, as well as a clarifying blend that has fiber. And so it's very innovative. It's very avant-garde. It's very cutting edge. That's what I love about Solle. They've always been ahead of the curve. You know, when no one was talking about mind-body connection, Solle was doing it and changing lives one at a time. So I'm going to turn the time over to Greg. Greg, I think I've made you a co-host, so you're welcome to share your screen, and you can comment on Jeleva's testimonial, because I could see you were chomping at the bit.
No, I was just enjoying it. I wasn't chomping at the bit to comment, but I just enjoy Jeleva's enthusiasm, and you can just tell she just loves helping people. And that's why we founded the company, isn't it? I have to tell you, to start off talking about the ProbIo today, I just need to tell you a story. Now, I have told this before. Anita, I can see Anita there. You probably have heard it. Joanne, maybe. But I'm thinking maybe not everybody's heard it. So we have since moved from this neighborhood. We lived 20 years in it. But this young couple that we knew since they were tiny kids, they were dating, they ended up getting married there, and we were over at their reception. They had it in the church house right across the street from our house. So we walk over there, we see them. We're standing around, you know, talking to people, looking for the couple to congratulate them. And this big 6'4", 6'5" kid, who I also knew, who was like 22, 21, comes walking up to my wife and I, and he leans over to me and goes, "Can I just give you a hug?" Gives me this big hug. He goes, "I have to thank you." Well, today I just wanted to show you the story of why he gave me the hug. His parents were in the neighborhood, and he had been 2 years over in Italy. And so he was doing a service mission over in Italy. And halfway through that, 1 year into it, got this severe intestinal situation going that he could not fix. Tried every medication. They were very for the most part, medically minded. And they explained to me the story of what he had been taking, his mom did. But interestingly enough, the doctors in Italy actually worked with single strands of probiotics to try to work with them. So I found that pretty interesting. You wouldn't find that as much here, but anyway, they had tried him, and a couple of them a little bit, but it had not solved it, and it was so debilitating. I know it may not be easy to believe this, because I had a kind of a hard time believing it, but it's his mom who told me, so I knew it was true. He had severe diarrhea every single day for the whole second year he was over there. So imagine for a year, I don't know how many times, some days were worse than others, but it always was this problem, and nothing fixed it. And he gave me the hug, because like a month before that, his mom had been telling me this, and we had just founded Solle Naturals. And she was telling me the story. And she was telling me everything he did. Because I asked her, what's he tried, probiotic, whatever. And she was telling me, and I found it really fascinating that these medical doctors in Italy were actually prescribing probiotics to him. So anyway, I said, well, I'll tell you, there are a couple of ways we can approach this, but I know one thing. We've got a fantastic probiotic. It's called ProbIo IQ. And she's like, oh, he's tried several of them. That's when she explained what all the doctors. I said, well, he hasn't tried this one. That's all I told her. So they paid to get the thing air freighted quick. They got over there in a few days, or however fast they got it. And he had actually been able to try it just before he came home. So I saw him 1 week after he was home. And he told me, I took one of those, the one. Now this is not typical, okay? But in his case, it worked out this way. He goes, I took one, and for the first time in a year, didn't go. I did not go to the bathroom that year. He goes, he was told by his mom to take two, but he had been used to taking, these sort of medical probiotic. He didn't think you'd take too much of this stuff. So anyway, he took one and then increased it to two, and had been regular from the moment he got on ProbIo IQ. So he had this problem. That's all he had done. He hadn't even taken any of the other products yet. That's why he gave me the hug. He just spontaneously came down. He'd suffered with it so long. So that's my story about ProbIo. I tell it because I think we all know this. There are a lot of people that will surprise us at how much they're suffering with. You hear it and you're kind of like, wow, how are you living with this? But I guess they just think it's their normal, or there's nothing that can be done, or I'm not quite sure. So I'm grateful for all of you who I know educate other people, reach out and help them, because a lot of people, they really don't know what else to do, and they're just not finding answers. So today I get to talk about one of my favorite core formulas in ProbIo. And this is from a training. I'm just going to share half of it today, because Debbie wants to talk about the herbs, the adaptogens that are in here next time, I guess, right, Deb? So this time, just know that it's not the whole formula, okay, we're talking about today, but it is the variety of probiotic strains. And I think the first question people ask is, why do you put a variety? Why not just pick a really good one and give huge amounts of that, which is very commonly done. And you know what? The Italian doctors did that. And I'm sure those probiotics that they gave were very helpful to a lot of people in a lot of situations. But the reason we did what we did with ProbIo is this exact story I shared, because we all have so many different things going on there. We would rather give a full 1 billion colony forming units of each strain, 6 strains, which greatly increase the odds that a person will reach intestinal balance. Not to mention all the other things probiotics do. And we're going to share some of them today, because it's so much more beyond just keeping regularity. So much more. In fact, I guess the regularity, it's so crucial. It gets all the attention. But I'm not sure how much. I mean, it's certainly the most crucial. Things can't back up, but I'm not sure that the other things aren't right up there, maybe just a little under it, in importance. So we know that a great percentage of our body, this is from Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews. She's the principal scientific advisor. She did her postdoc at Yale. She loves to do research. So she gathered some of these facts for us. It's a very significant part of who we are, and we understand the tip of the iceberg. So let's just start with that, right? There's so much for all of us to learn, all of science, all of the world to learn about the importance of probiotics. We just know this, we benefit. We benefit greatly in ways that we don't even fully understand yet. But we understand this, and this is why Solle has a variety of probiotics. These probiotics actually play a role in the programming of our stress response. From very early age, how we will react to stressors, emotional and physical, is correlated to our probiotic structure and variety. That's a pretty heavy thought, huh? We could sit and ponder on that one for a while. So I'm thinking about any time a mother is expecting, how important are probiotics as part of nutrition? They're basic. They're just like, you know, right there with the most basic foods, keeping that balance, because we know that goes to baby. The second thing that we know they play a role, and this is from Dr. Allison, is our responsivity of the stress. So I guess you could say it's strength, or put another way, how adaptable is our body to the stressors? Is it, you know, quite adaptable or pretty rigid and is often knocked off balance? So probiotics are right there in the middle of that process, okay? And this one from Psychoneuroendocrinology, this was the year we launched probiotic. That's the date. There's probably a bunch more studies, but I love this one because the whole issue of in our intestines, what is supposed to be allowed into the bloodstream to our cells and what is supposed to be kept outside to eliminate, like Jeleva was saying in terms of the detoxing and eliminating and how crucial that is too. Probiotics out of balance or let's say depleted result in more permeability. Things get in we don't want in. And then we got to work, you know, through a lot of other issues. So this to me is another thing. These 3 slides, I wish, don't you think it would be just awesome if we had a way to show this to every household? Hey, just look at these 3 things. Just look at those and think about them for a minute and then think about a probiotic. Think of how many things would be solved, just or nearly solved that people have to go through, kids, adults of all ages that needlessly are being suffered, okay? So ProbioIQ is about dealing with that issue and also giving other direct nutrition to the brain. That's what the formula was about. So here are the strains. The first one is called Saccharomyces boulardii. And I will tell you this, with this strain and every strain, one of the factors that determined whether we included it or didn't, all of the strains here had to have equally strong intestinal support in the traditional understanding and in emotional and cognitive support in what we're now understanding probiotics can directly impact. I mean, we always knew it had an impact, but with the greater detail that we're understanding. These had to be, in other words, above average for mood regulation and cognitive balance. So that's why this one's in here, as well as all of them. Here are just a few studies of why we love this one. Here's a study about diarrhea. Isn't that an interesting one? This was before the story of the young man I told you about. But general inflammation and candida overgrowth, this strain greatly inhibited those situations. Viral infections is that bottom one was children with rotavirus, much more quickly recovered than a standard treatment. Just with this strain, here's a probiotic, here's this strain. Next one is Helveticus. And this one, look at the second paragraph. So what did people see when they increased Helveticus in their nutrition? Less anger, less anxiety, better. People self-judged as I'm a better problem solver. So like stress represents itself as problems a lot. And then a variety of other symptoms because it affects us all differently. That's another interesting study. Love that one. Here's a study with 4-year-olds. It was a pretty good sized study. And what they saw, by the way, these are Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews' 2 children. they're grown up now, but this is how old they were when we launched the product 10 years ago. In fact, if you come to convention, you'll probably see her daughter. Sometimes her son comes, but a lot less sickness, right? Just a stronger immune response. Now that one's not a surprise if you've been into probiotics over the years. The next one is Bifidophilus or Bifidobacterium. Sorry if I could pronounce it. Longum. Lots and lots and lots of studies. It's one of my favorite probiotic strains. Although to Debbie's point, Debbie, I forgot which one is my favorite, by the way. I honestly can't think of which one it is because I sometimes change.
I thought it was the Saccharomyces, but mine is PF.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say it's hard to top PF, and I'm going to show you some slides on the last strain. But this one right here. So here's some studies with IBS, chronic intestinal situations that persist over years. The answer is not always the secret amazing discovery. It's a simple, very famous probiotic, as long as it's kept in the right form and it's active. So often that's not the case in products. The next one is they showed some studies combining Helveticus and Bifido. And by the way, this is why we included these two, because very often they're studied together. They have a great synergy, these two. And in the synergy, what's interesting is they tended to focus more on the mood side of things. So in other words, when these two strains were in the diet, Helveticus and the Bifido, then they saw pronounced mood improvements. And you can see what they say here in the second bullet point. This is in a magazine called Gut and Microbes. Again, it was published the year before we launched. Anxiety and stress reduction. And they said it in terms of moderately stressed human subjects. You know what? I don't know how you select that, by the way. How do you say, I'm mild, I'm moderate, I'm severe? But anyway, that's what it was. It was moderate. The next one is Lactobacillus KCI. Again, KCI stood out just on its own as a greatly, what's the word? Maybe underappreciated probiotic for mood improvement. This one seems to have just a much more direct correlation, especially in terms of anxiousness, general anxiousness. And so that was the reason we included it. They did some studies with college students. So people in periods of immense stress, so I don't know, test time or whatever, and they showed much more resilience, immune resilience, not surprising either with this probiotic. And then finally, we got two left. This was the final strain when we launched the product. Then a few years later, we added the strain that Debbie just mentioned. So this was the final one of the original 5. This, along with one of the others, is thermoresistant. So they actually are quite hardy, even in conditions of heat. We chose to include a mixture that way. Again, because of our belief in how unique each of our situations are. This strain colonizes quite well. It has 2 different names. Sometimes you'll hear it called sporogenes and other times Bacillus coagulans. There are slight variations in this one. So those were the 5 we talked about. Now this 6th one in red. This was a presentation. I just tacked it on the end of this original training because these were slides Dr. Allison prepared when we added this strain. We added this strain because of her. Not that ProbIo IQ, now the story I told you about the young man, it happened without this strain in red. But this research was so impressive that we did something kind of rare with some of these very core formulas. We actually added it to the formula. It's a long name because you had 2 German doctors, right? Researchers who really identified all the amazing benefits, or so many of them anyway, of this strain and showed how important it is and how resilient this strain is. So this is a particularly resilient strain and helpful in humans. So here's its background. They studied some cheeses because it's present, for instance, in some Swiss cheeses. You'll notice some of the Swiss names. And there's the Freudenreich. person it was named after. There's a strain that you might hear somewhere that's actually found in the skin that is pathogenic in cases of acne and others. This is not that. But I share it because sometimes people get on and they Google and they're like, because you can have something of a confusion there. This is actually certified as has GRAS status, generally regarded as safe. It's one of the very few probiotics in this class. In fact, I think one of the slides shows it's the only one in this class that is generally regarded as safe. Why? Because it has so many wonderful properties. It's a slow growing, but it's very, very hardy, and it's able to adapt efficiently and rapidly to stressful environments. So I like that one, and it caught our attention because what we put our bodies through, and particularly our digestion, what we're putting it through nowadays with all the chemicals, and not to mention the stressors, emotional stressors, how those directly through the nervous system impact the environment there. So propionum seemed like a great fit. It shows really good survival in the gut, and it adheres really well. So it's like some of them can be good and they're good while they're in you, but they pass through you. But this one actually will attach to your gut wall well. Okay, why is that important? Well, it helps protect your intestinal lining. It actually downregulates certain inflammatory and abnormal cell conditions. They studied that. It supports the absorption of several minerals. Now, at the time, we didn't specify how, but do you know how it supports calcium? Because this little bacteria is a machine that makes K2. And so that's why you get this wonderful K2 that it produces. Look at this. It actually produces substances that are toxic to yeast, mold, and gram-negative bacteria. They call them bacteriocins, right? So this is fairly significant for this strain. It is antifungal and antiviral, inhibitory of the duplication. And look at this. This is the reason it got on Dr. Allison's radar, because of the German research showing it makes B12. So you can go buy it, and then buy there's more than one form, and one of the forms is actually not very digestible, absorbable, and it's cheaper. So the B12 is an interesting topic. She mentions that in the study, but this strain has been declared an efficient producer of vitamin B12, and it gives you the level. I'm going to confess to you, I don't really know what this means. This 15 something GML, okay? But this is giving you a quantity that actually is a difference maker. It's large enough that it will make a difference in the body. So, wow, that one benefit, that really jumps out. Now, you know what? It doesn't just make B12. It also will produce B8 biotin and B9 folate. So what an interesting strain, right? You can see why we added this to the formula. Now, this is where she tells you about pseudocobalamin. You have an active B12 and another one. She talks about spirulina, mesonorium, wakami. Sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, that's a source of B12. Actually, it's not. It's the pseudo in those. So those are good for other things. Spirulina is good for many, many other things. However, not the usable B12. So this is why it was kind of an important discovery. I think I mentioned it's given GRAS status, generally regarded as safe. And here's another little fun fact. It actually can generate electricity. So I always kind of have my ears, just my eyes peeled, my ears open for energetic plants that, because we are, if you break down organs to tissues, to cells, to atoms, you have a positive and a negative charge. You have neutral, neutrons, protons, positive charge, and the electrons is negative charge. And energy makes a difference. More energy is generally what is lacking as we all walk around, because we do a whole lot to stifle energy because of the food we eat and stress. So it's kind of an interesting one. This is an interesting, and I personally think a kind of a life-changing probiotic. So that's the sixth one. I know a lot more extra attention on it because it was kind of a new addition. And plus Dr. Allison had accumulated so many interesting facts about it in her training. I thought I'd share that today. Yeah.
I just love that, because when I think about energy, it's probiotic. The ProbioIQ is in the clarifying category, which again helps clear and move things. When you think about energy, when you think about that, you think about an actual
restoring the flow.
Yeah, you think of an actual current, right? The way cells communicate with each other. So you have the lymphatic system and the central nervous system communicating. But also, you know what I love too? You know how there's, you mentioned something else that I think is so satisfying about this product in particular. And when you combine it, because there are certain probiotics found in the Solle Complete formula. When I think about the gut healing in the ProbioIQ, how it adheres to the actual gut. When we talk about leaky gut syndrome, that is just rampant, right now, because of stress and all of these other things that break down, and poor eating habits and not enough good supplementation. You know, the gut really suffers. We all know those people who have the nervous bowel or irritable bowel syndrome, right? They're going to have a job interview, the diarrhea comes on, or the constipation, or the bloating, or the tightness in the belly happens. This is a product that can really be a game changer for people who struggle, as you very well said with the boy who was on his mission service. Taking one capsule and having a normal day of regular bowel movements and not having diarrhea. You know, you talk about people who have explosive diarrhea, you know, those kind of terrible gut problems. This can be a game changer. And what I love about Solle is that you repeat some of the ingredients in other formulas, because our bodies are all so different and we all react differently to different things. We can get a lot of the benefits by combining some of these products and getting even more of some great ingredient that you've included. So I love that.
And Deb, you made me think of something, because you talked about the energy part. It's funny when I think of because you brought the yellow category. You know, I used to kind of think of, or just in my mind, I guess, I mostly thought of clarifying as kind of like sterilizing, cleaning, cleanse, like getting the environment super clean inside, which, you know, that's a big part of it. But more now I think of clarifying as restoring flow, restoring energy, you know, removing the blockages and restoring it. And I don't know why, but I think that's just probably just because of the adaptive formulas. That's the visual image I get with the yellow. And that's what probiotics about.
And I love that. I love that side too. And see, this is why I think it's so important that you're with us on these webinars, because you bring that different perspective as to why things were combined in the products. I mean, like I said before, anyone who says to me, oh, but I can go get a probiotic. Yeah, well, you're probably buying a lactobacillus, which is not the long one, or you're not getting the better version of it. You're getting so much more here. You're getting, you know, 6 different strains of bacteria, which is not only friendly and highly colonizing, right? But you're getting a formula that also helps feed or be the prebiotic as well as the probiotic. Right. And most people don't understand that symbiosis either. You know, you need to have the right bacteria to feed the good bacteria in the body, so that when you introduce the probiotic, which is the better bacteria, the gut can do what it needs to do. And so this product just gets me so excited. I get nerdy like Dr. Allison when I think about all the things that it does, because it's truly exciting. And it's like you say, I think the most significant thing you said was if we could present this to every household in the USA, because we see children with younger and younger and younger who are developing gut problems earlier in life, right? Stress is running rampant. We're still kind of getting out of that COVID fog. So people have had 2.5 years of stress, anxiety, poor eating, or learning to cultivate, but sometimes we're not eating the right things that help us, right? And so these are products that can actually really help remedy that situation. I love that.
Deb, on to the children point, you know this story as well as I do, but one of my favorite out of the capsule stories is with tiny little, so you got infants at any age who they just inconsolable, you know, they've got the gas, the whatever the thing is, a little bit in the belly button.
Yep.
Seal it with a Band-Aid and just let the body absorb it over whatever period of time it is when they sleep, and voila. I mean, that one, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from Corinne Lautner team. And I'm not sure, Deb, you probably have a bunch of people who have tried it. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
A lot of people have shared personally. That. It's a very easy thing to do for little kids that can make, boy, it helps the mother as much as the poor mother who's trying to deal with it. Yeah, absolutely. As much as the baby.
Absolutely. Yeah, just one little capsule open on the belly button. It just goes straight to the gut, you guys. It goes straight to the gut. You don't have to do an enema or anything like that. You open the capsule, put it on the belly button, boom, it's done. It's a done deal. I thank you, Greg. I love you. We could keep talking about this forever. I invite you all to come back next week to hear part 2 of ProbIo IQ. You will learn why the IQ can be influenced with a probiotic. And that is a very, very fascinating conversation. I love that there is a fiber essence or element to this product, and there are mushrooms involved, and there are many things that can change that brain gut connection and improve it. So again, thank you so much, Greg. Well, you know, we're kind of over our time, but I wanted to share with you just maybe 2 of the breathing exercises that I wanted to teach you today. If you use it in conjunction with your probiotic, you can actually manage stress and anxiety in a very, very different way. So I'm going to show you one where I don't have to stand, but this increases lung capacity and it helps you expel toxins from your lungs. So what you'll do is you put your finger and you use your index finger right over the cartilage part of your ear. So I'm going to tell you what to do. So you should be hearing me a little differently right now. This is what I do when I sing in a studio, so I can hear my true voice. So put your fingers over the cartilage part of your ear, and you're going to inhale through the nose for 8 counts. Okay, we're going to count to 8, and you'll probably see me lift my fingers to do that. Okay, so and now you're going to exhale through the mouth, and you're going to make a sound that sounds like a buzzing bee. Ooh. And that should have been 16. Hopefully we counted to 16. So you're going to breathe in 8 through the nose, and you're going to exhale like a busy bee for 16 counts. Okay, so you can count it on your cheeks. You know, you can tap it out. That's a good way to keep count. But you're going to do that, and do that 2-3 times a day. I'm going to show you another technique. You know, do you know those people who have so much anxiety during the day that they have a hard time falling asleep? Okay, so I'm going to show you a really quick technique. It's called the 4-7-8 formula, and you're going to breathe in for 4 counts. You will hold for 7 counts, and then you exhale for 8 counts. You get it? So inhale 4, exhale 7, and hold for 7. I held up my 8 because I jumped ahead, and then you exhale for 8 counts. So you don't have to hold anything. But here we go. You can count and breathe in through your nose. Now hold. Seven. Now exhale for 8. Did you have a hard time exhaling for 8? If you did, then that means your lungs are struggling a little, right? So what we want to do is breathing deeply is really important that you do it with good posture. So I want you to sit, let your shoulders drop, let your head be really erect so you get some good area. And don't do this when you breathe deeply, okay? That's not breathing deep. What you want to do is, I'm going to show you my fat belly right now, but you want to put your hand here, and when you go, do you see that? That's your diaphragm moving. And you notice my shoulders didn't move, right? So when you're sitting, you want to make sure that your diaphragm is the one that's moving, and you can do that. Now, if you do this right before you go to bed and you do it 4 times, you should be able to sleep very, very well, because now you're getting rid of all that anxiety and you're doing that. And there's one more that I wanted to show you, and it's a pranayama. It's part of yoga. So it's Hindu in base. And this one is kind of interesting, because what you want to do is take your hand, right? And you're going to go like this. So your index finger, and your first 2 fingers are, and then you're going to use your thumb and your ring finger, right? To do these movements. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your take your ring finger first, cover your left nostril, and you're going to breathe in through the right for 4 counts. You're going to hold for 16. So when you hold, do your thumb to make sure you're not letting any air out, right? And then you're going to exhale for 8 counts, okay? I'm going to let you either tap it out on your shoulder. Somebody be my guide and tell me when we move, okay? Raise your hand when we move to the next step. So we're going to cover left nostril, breathe in through the right for 4 counts. Hold for 16. And exhale. Okay, so you breathed in through your right nostril, and then you're going to exhale through the left. Sorry, I moved my wrong finger. So you exhale through the left for 8, and you do that 6 times. And that one really opens up your lung capacity. It really helps you get some more good deep air in. And I promise you, if you do this 2-3 times a day, you will be able to release your stress. Remember to take your ProbIo IQ or your adaptogens, your adaptable, your Soul Vital. All of these will help you manage your stress, anxiety, and keep your bowels feeling really good.